Hey, everybody. It's me and Blake. It's Tuesday. I hope it's Tuesday. Damn well better be. Boy, it's that time of year. We got I want to say thanks to lovely Scoozy putting the tree up. Beautiful. I put Heinche, my little Heinche, the little Dutch voice singer. Emmylou Harris. We got John Anderson, Three Shifts Great Christmas Album. Andy Williams, No Christmas Complete Without Andy Williams. And of course, the King of Christmases himself, Elvis Presley. And little Snoopy over with Charlie Brown with the Vince Guaraldi, the trio. Anyway, so we got all that. Merry Christmas, happy holidays for you that don't love Jesus. What the hell's wrong?
Enjoy your days off.
That's what day off. It's a holiday. Anyway, so we're going to look at some stuff that's kind of frustrating. It's kind of like we're in a cycle where there's good things happening and there's a lot of inertia, and Pam Bondi's under the microscope again. And, I'm starting to worry that she may end up being a Jim Jordan type. Talks a great game. The other one that was like that was, I want to say Chris Farley. But it's not Chris Farley. It's the other, the Smith Devil, silver
Chris
hair.
Christie?
No, not Chubby Boy.
Well, you said Chris Farley.
not Chris Ray, the FBI guy. No, he's a former congressman, senator, one of them. And Trey Gowdy.
Trey Gowdy. Yeah.
Trey Gowdy. He was another one. Fucker. So he says all that, we're going to get him. It's just a matter of time. And then nothing, right? It's all show. It's talk. It's like watching a balloon inflate. And nothing ever gets done. Yeah, a lot's getting done. Not to say that it isn't. I mean, Jasmine Crockett's out of a job. And I guess she was out on CNN or Fox or one of these, and she's trying to drum up support for her Senate run because she's now bounced from Congress. She doesn't have a hope in hell, a snowball's chance in hell of ever seeing public office again. Absolute disaster. And same with the I want to say Al Sharpton, but Al Green, the Reverend Al Green, not to be confused with. But the guy with the cane, he's going, let's impeach Trump. What are you going to do today, Al? Oh, I don't know. I guess we'll impeach Trump. We got nothing else to do. So anyway, they got all these morons. All these James, is it James? Who's Saltzine? I always forget their name. Steve, put your name in there. Steve, put your frickin' name in Saltzine. What the hell, Saltzine? All right. Anyway, it always confuses me. Steve Park. We love Steve. Okay, let's get into this. This is a post Trump dropped back in September, but it's getting renewed heat for the reasons I'm saying. What the hell's going on? Ben Owen here, whoever the hell Ben is. So why hasn't Trump fired Pam Bondi? Pam, I've reviewed over 30 statements, supposed saying that essentially same old story as last time. No, all talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey? Adam Schiff, Letitia, they're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past. A woke rhino is never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media, said he quit, that we had no case. No, I fired him. There's a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now, President Donald John Trump. So, there's Trumpy Bear out there. And I'm just going to do a kind of a smattering of these.
Just before you continue on, Rachel, is your mic kind of set off to the side somewhere?
Okay, hang on. Could be goofy.
Yeah, it was sounding in the distance. Sound like a drum beat was going on.
All right, how's that? Well, that's me. Probably
way better.
Okay,
way better.
Okay, just settle the hell down. But thank you, dear Pam Bondi. It's been 11 months. Arrest must start happening. Thank you, all Americans. All right. Thank you for your attention. Scarlett, she is useless. And then best I can do is absolutely nothing. Pawn Stars. Did you know Deep State DOJ, the Deputy Attorney General, is officially a Democrat until 2025? Todd Blanche is second most powerful official in the U.S. Department of Justice. Blanche oversees day-to-day operations, including FBI, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, Social, blah, blah, blah. Do you understand yet? Republican 24 to President, Democrat before 2023 just got in. High-ranking guy, kind of a pain. Meanwhile, Cat Turd weighing in on the same topic. One works, one doesn't. Ivermectin, Blondie. I leave it to you to figure out which one works. And then we got the president. This is kind of interesting here. The president. Let's pause this. President Hot Mike catches Trump angry and pissed off that his appointments cannot get past full screenplay.
Hey, Jeff, do you agree with me on Bruce now? You know I cannot appoint anybody. Huh? I can't appoint anybody. Everybody I've appointed, their time is expired. And then there was a fall.
Okay. And then we'll do this one. All right, hang on. And we got this one going. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are the ones who can bring down FOTSI if they wanted to do it. Investigate and prosecute. I don't know why you tag Pam Bondi. That woman doesn't do a damn thing except make TV appearances. She is worthless, a screen door in a submarine. Trump reviewed posts, laughed my ass at Pam Bondi needs more accusations. Even Trump knows Pam Bondi is a fraud from the Dodge twins. They're a little questionable. Okay, and we'll get some liberal idiot. Let's see what else we got. Okay, here we go. Michael Flynn Jr. So next step will be consequences, right? Or will there be an investigation that goes nowhere? Again, stop showing us the corruption without holding anyone accountable. Exclusive, Ilhan Omar did marry her brother and said she would do what she had to do to get him papers to keep in the U.S., reveals Somali community leader from the Daily Mail reporting. For the love of God, just arrest somebody. All right, let's kill that. It's going to make it easier to find these things. So, as you can see, Blake, a lot of talk, but not a lot of action. Yeah,
well,
isn't that lovely?
It looks awesome. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, buddy. Doing well in your house.
All right. Good to see everybody. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it's a tough run right now. As I said, it's unless you're inside the fly on the wall, it's hard to see what's really going on. And the problem is that, like we've said before, there's an entrenched establishment that has been built up for decades, really going back to the 1960s is when the Great Societies Act was created. These bureaucracies and their people are generational in there now. They are entrenched. So it's hard to get rid of this establishment that just does not want to let go of power. As I said, it's trench by trench warfare politically and getting these guys routed out. But the problem is nobody seems to be going to jail. There's people being fired. Know that. There's been people let go. But there's been nobody going to jail for their crimes yet. But I understand the frustration. People are going, midterms are coming up, and they keep saying it louder and louder and louder. And if we don't get some of these people to be held accountable for their illegal actions, there's a risk that the Dems may take the House, or Rhino Republicans might get into positions just enough to cause havoc for the back 2 years of Trump's administration.
That would effectively end anything of substantial worth being done. Yeah. I think at that point, the Trump's term would basically this too shall pass. It would just be Trump will be. They'll impeach him. They'll do some investigation. They'll hinder and retard every chance they get. Kind of what they're doing right now, but they don't really have the teeth to do it. I mean, they're still doing it, like Trump said, we talked about on Friday, all it takes is one Dem senator to stand in the way and it slows everything down. I can't get anybody through. And
Yeah.
this was that thing I put. Trump was saying, I can't get anybody passed. I got a whole bunch of great DAs lined up, attorney generals, all this ready to go. And I just can't get them in there because all it requires one Dem senator to say no. And, this is the way the system is structured right now. Fixes in. Even though we're seeing real advances, COVID information's coming out. The election 2020 is coming out, and more is going to come out. And predictions are within the next 6 months or so, we're really going to see all of that. Trump hinting we got it all again, using that kind of language. This is another one. Let me see.
Yeah.
Put this one up. Tom Renz. Let's see if I can bring his up. This kind of is the same idea, Blake. I think I learned a secret about this. Tina Peters is in solitary confinement. It's absolutely inexcusable. Here's another one frustrating. Trump, Tina is in jail because she stood for you. She's part of the reason you're in the White House. Your Department of Justice is failing again. I'm adding the again. And you are the only person who could do anything about this. She dies in jail. It's on you for letting your DOJ do nothing. We all fought for you, still fighting for you. Please do not ignore the needs of your most loyal soldiers. Now, Trump's been kind of going free Tina Peters and get the word out happening now. Tina Peters being put back in a solitary. This for retaliation for the pardon letter to President Trump. She's really being persecuted in there. It's sickening for all of us on our side of the aisle. And then we got this other kind of thing. Again, for Tom Renz, Bondi and Blanche, this is a second deputy, the Democrat guy, are blaming judges for their own incompetence. There's no question that we have many issues with activist judges, but they intentionally botched the Comey case. They intentionally botched the Comey case. Strong accusation, worrisome if true. The law is clear. The Comey and James cases were dismissed because they were filled by Halligan, whom they knew could not be appointed. Halligan was set up to fail by the DOJ. Blaming judges for following the plain language of the law is absurd. The Comey case was filed so Bondi could pretend to act while ensuring it would fail and place Comey beyond the statute of limitations. This is completely unacceptable. Of course it is. Section D, explicitly states that after 120 days, district court appoints the special counsel. This isn't judicial activism. It's DOJ corruption. It tags the Hodgwins. Hodgwins I have concerns about. And some of this noise and this crushing criticism of Pam Bondi, I may be doing bad guys a favor by kind of putting pressure on her, by, get rid of Pam or whatever. We're not seeing anything. Like you alluded to, Blake, maybe there's more going behind the scenes. Sure as hell hard being patient. Patient my ass. I got to kill something. Remember the old buzzards?
Yeah.
They're sitting up there in the tree waiting for something to die. Patience my ass. I got to kill something. Eastern Virginia engaging, blah, blah, DOJ talks, right? Bondi's a total waste of space, full of hot air, all talk. And that's kind of the rap that's coming, at least at this point. We're just not seeing the stuff happen. Blake, help me out.
I mean, patience is something that's hard for us to have.
Patience, my ass. I got to kill
exactly. I mean, when you've been under an artillery barrage politically for so long, and you finally are starting to gain some ground, you're kind of like, let's just go take them all. But let's just remember, to defeat the Confederates, it took 4 years, and militarily.
Oh yeah,
and they were supposed to be an easy beat once he took over, right? Once Lincoln said, he wanted to unite the United States and keep the Union united, and the Democratic Confederates said, no, we're going to put up a fight. And I'm going to keep pointing that out, that the Confederates were Democrats. They still are Confederates at heart. And they still push the same kind of divisive action where they believe democracy, not republic, is the way they want things to go, a mob rule type of system that they can control. But I think the fact is that it took 4 years to win that war, and it at a big cost, and to the point where afterwards they had the Reconstruction era, and you literally had to try and change the culture. This culture is ingrained within the United States bureaucracy. So how the whole bureaucracy is corrupt. Like I've been saying that even here in Canada, if you're going to actually exact any real change, you'd literally have to hand out 500,000 pink slips and just say you're all gone. And if you want to apply for the job again, this is the new standard. And you got to find new people, new ways of doing it. You got to start all over again. Sometimes, these incremental fixes, and that's what they're stuck with, a bureaucracy that it knows how to throw mud at your feet to slow you down. And I said, I'm not going to defend Pam Bondi. I'm not going to defend anybody in these positions because I know what it's like to go up against government as a small little person, because I've had that fight. I'm still having that fight here at home. And they are like fighting a bowl of molasses. They stick all over you. They're hard to get rid of. They are entrenched in what they do. They're unapologetic for the mistakes they do. And a matter of fact, they double down on the mistakes that they do. And they'll continue to do it. So I think, Trump is doing what he can with the team he can. If you picture yourself, you're trying to manage, how big's the U.S. bureaucracy? 2 million staff altogether? Not counting military and all the different branches of government as well, contractors, et cetera, that have been ingrained into this culture, the intelligentsia within the academic circles as well. You can kind of connect those people to a lot of that federal funding and how they've managed to do that for years and decades. It's really a nightmare to untangle. And sometimes the best way to do it is just fire the whole thing and start all over. And I've heard people say that maybe the FBI should have just been collapsed.
Well, they talk that way about CIA too.
I mean, the CIA, you got to be careful because they are connected to your military apparatus as well. You need to know intelligence of what's going on in these countries. But yeah, there's a problem when your own intelligence networks work against your own government that the people have elected and work in interfering in elections inside your own country. Yeah. Let alone doing it in foreign countries.
Well, yeah, and there are agents within the U.S. Institutions, plural, that are dragging and hurting and openly talking about it. We're aware of it.
But I was just going to say, the people of America have to burn. Yeah.
Just one quick aside, Wolfie. We just covered that. It's a clip. We played the clip of Trump saying that very thing. So that clip has just been showed. Maybe 2 minutes before you came in. Sorry, Blake, keep going.
But yeah, I mean that's a point that he's up against. He's up against these people who are got cement boots on. They're hard to move. They've been in there. They're entrenched. They might seem like your buddy. They'll talk nice to you. They're mealy-mouthed bureaucrats. They know how to hold and survive because they go through this all the time. And they will speak the language you want to hear to sustain their little kingdoms within those bureaucracies.
I think that's what Jim Jordan does. I think that's what Trey Gowdy did.
Well, I think Trey Gowdy and Jordan, all those guys are politicians. The difference is that the bureaucracy is always in control. You have to change the culture within the bureaucracy. And the only way you do that is I've seen it here that once you get a certain type of political party that acts on behalf of the bureaucracy. So the Democrat Party became the government workers' party, essentially. Just like we see in Canada, the Liberals have become the federal government workers' party. The NDP has become as well the government workers, the academia party. They've lost all touch with blue collar. They've lost all touch with the free market citizens of their own countries. They're completely entrenched into their own political camp, which is the very levers that run government. So you have to literally abolish that culture. You have to end it. And Trump's going to be up against that. If they're trying to get to the find out all the criminal acts that they've done, which would be endless, quite frankly. I think there's probably thousands and tens of thousands.
You gotta pick and choose what you're going to.
Yeah, you can take down the heads of the snakes, right?
The election, we have to get the election squared away. We got to get the reality of January 6th because that propaganda was used so effectively. And I've got a little January 6th footage, so for fun, we're going to share that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then in a little bit after that, then we'll switch our focus back to our Canada, where the hell we're kind of stuck. By the way, everybody, I don't know if this is going to work. I've initiated it. I'm working on becoming. This is a bit powerful. A daughter of the revolution, the Dar Society, because I've got all these ancestors that fought in the American Revolution. So I've actually officially started the paperwork underway to say, hey, look, I'm a trans woman of color. Is that a disqualifier? So we'll see. And then also I was adopted out. But apparently that's even better because they go by blood. You've got to be tied by blood. And I got DNA matches all over the place with other patriots from 1776. The shot
get the whole outfit. You'll be able to wear your revolutionary outfits.
I want it with a bonnet and the whole bit.
Yeah. And a musket.
Adorable. I'll be sewing a little, Betsy Ross flag for everybody. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of corruption we're dealing with. Ian and Omar's net worth went up to 30 million. Must be a nice job. You come in a thousandaire, and they all come in thousandaires into office, and then they leave multimillionaires. Corruption up the yin yang. It's just FUBAR. Hey, what do you think about?
And that's just the elected people. You go into the ranks of the bureaucracy that feeds their own pockets. I mean, it is an ugly mess. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's see what. Okay, hold on. Now let's do this. What are your thoughts on Nick Fuentes? First of all, tell me about Nick. What are you thinking about Nick?
He seems to be a psyop within the MAGA movement to try and distract and cause division. That's just my gut feeling. But that's the problem. These guys can make really solid, good points, and then they go off into the ether, which causes massive division within your own ranks. Now, that's okay. I don't mind people being controversial in the sense that they will ask difficult questions. That's okay. But the way it's being presented is that it's creating everybody should be is against MAGA. Everybody's at war with each other. I don't know. I have concerns that Nick is part of the distraction because he came out of nowhere all of a sudden. For many of the people that listen to him and think he's something special, but everything that I see is that, I'm sorry, he's creating major division. And so is Candace Owens, who's kind of on the on the other side of that. I'm looking for, even if everything is what they use is half truths, right? And then they exploit the half truth and go all the way in on the false side of it. Instead of just saying, I'm just noticing this stuff. This is what's going on. I have some questions. That's okay to question things. We want that. That's all about free speech. But the problem is that they go off the deep end and they cause further division within your own ranks. So that just says to me that who's funding the division? That's where I start looking at.
But identify the actors so Candace Owens, even though appears to be a knight in white, a white hat, if you will, nothing could be further from the truth. There's a lot of bad noise around that. A lot of crazy stuff going, and it's a sublime to the ridiculous. I put Alex Jones in the same category. He's running down the street with black gloves, bare chest. That famous picture of Jones, just a nut. And so it's not a good look. It behooves us to conduct ourselves appropriately. Here's some. Okay, before I share that, I just want to make sure I got the right clip. Okay, here we go. This will help ensure that I'm doing it right, Blake. And go here. Bear with me, kids, as I pull this link up. This should be, there we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is January 6th, and that's Nick Fuentes on the megaphone telling people to break down the barriers and disregard the police. Elon was right. Elon Musk called him a Fed, which obviously is why he never became a January 6th prisoner. There he is. Let's go watch him. Here he is.
Keep moving towards the Capitol. It appears we are taking the Capitol back. Keep marching and don't relax. Never relax. Yeah! Break down the barriers and disregard the police. This Capitol belongs to us.
Okay, so that's all you need to hear from that. And hold on, and now we got this. So when you ask Nick Fuentes under oath whether he's employed by the federal government, he takes the fifth. And so here's a deposition Fuentes. I guess they asked him, and somebody asked him the question somewhere in all of this is, okay, are you working with the federal government at all? And apparently, within the context of all this, he pleads the fifth. So very interesting, right?
Yeah.
This is a real Nick Fuentes, January 6th going on. His handlers are going to need a different fifth. All right, Nick Fuentes. So kind of interesting. Obviously, the kind of language is just what the feds were doing. Ray Epps, of course, has been signaled out by our side as being, obviously a Fed guy, because the kind of the typical J6er that was there was, let's obey the police, and there was no sign of violence or anything. There's also that footage I think we showed on the program where the Fed is all masked up. He's breaking glass and throwing stuff in and throws the other guy out who's trying to stop him. Actually stops a guy from doing it. So I think Fuentes is big trouble. I think it's important for us on our side to identify Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, all these players that they behave for a while, but then they go from the sublime to the ridiculous. And as soon as they hit the ridiculous, it's used to disavow any advances that may be made. Marjorie Taylor Greene just went on CNN slamming the president again this morning as being a mean guy. So she's trouble too. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's another one. Her problem is that she had ambition. She wanted to be the darling of the president. Look at me. The ball didn't fall her way when she wanted it to. She got upset. And so then she's not going to play anymore.
Well, when these people start believing their own fame is where the problem comes in.
Well, but I think it's worse than that in some cases.
Well, it is, but I think some of these people start out with great intentions, and then when they fame gets to take ego kicks in. Oh, how dare you talk down to me? I'm this, I'm that. And they get this idea that they're bigger than they really are.
Now, hold on. Are you trying to tell me 30 pieces of silver is somebody's right price?
Maybe for some. Who would that be?
Oh my God. All right, keep going. Sorry, but I had to throw my Judas Iscariot one-liner.
Yeah, I was just say Judas Priest, young child.
Judas Priest, rock, man. Okay, like
I remember seeing like a 50s Western where the mother said that they were like, she said that she wouldn't swear, but she said Judas Priest. That was her big swear word.
That's good. I like it.
This is the problem with any kind of movement, is that the powerful underforces within the deep state have the ability to manipulate and use psyops through your own people. And they can manipulate that, as you say. Like as I said, Nick Fuentes, I felt that there was something wrong with that guy all along. I said it. Before.
No, it's not that. I thought he was a gay man.
He's a Fed. and I kind of had
Hold
that
on. Did you
feeling.
say,
I looked like
what
the
did you, hold
khaki
on,
boy.
Blake. What did you call him? We know he's gay, but you called him a fed?
A Fed.
Fed. Okay, I just want to make
Fed.
sure we're
F-E-D. F-E-D.
okay. He's a Fed. Okay, keep going. You're on a roll.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify.
So I don't agree with Alex Jones. I think Alex Jones, in your position on that, I think Alex Jones is pretty legitimate. He stays mostly on topic. He's not a Fed. He is the guy who's been pointing out all this stuff for years when nobody
Trump,
would
though.
listen. No, he
goes
doesn't.
against
Never. I listen to Alex Jones all the time. He never goes against Trump.
He's gone against Trump. I'll get you. I got the receipts on that. On Friday, I'll bring them in for you. I'll get a clip of.
Oh, for sure. Trump. I mean, he says it. He goes, Trump listens. So he'll put pressure on Trump on things, but he doesn't go against Trump. Yeah, well, that's what he uses influence. That's what they all do. If they think, hey, you're going off MAGA and you're going a different direction, here's a warning sign. Listen to these guys. He's a big follower of General Flynn.
Flynn's questionable too. Flynn is a guy that a lot of people are saying, I wonder why Flynn's not closer or in with Trump, and there may be a reason why he's not. So that's an interesting thing.
I mean, if we start talking, this is my point. If we start breaking apart all the pieces of all the leaders, you could say, of MAGA who've been pushing that, this is kind of like a federal psyop, right? This is where the feds, the deep state, come in and try to create more disruption from within, because they know it's powerful. And I think the Dems realized who's the vehicle for the deep staters, or I'm going to call it further than that. It is the globalist machine run out of Brussels and the EU and the central bankers of the world. This is where it all comes from. It's their tentacles, and they like to control it all. And I think once you start to break free from that, then they start trying to infiltrate. I've seen it at the very lowest levels, because I was quite heavily involved with a political party that was making some headway back 25 years ago. And I saw them send in their people at that level, worried to not allow the establishment to gain what they wanted and been working on in control over policies. They infiltrated the conservative parties, the liberal parties, the provincial parties here in Canada. They do that in the US as well. These people are brought in purposely as organizers who are fake organizers. Just like I think most of Antifa is run by feds. It's the same type of crap. These people are purposely trying to maintain a sense of division so they can control it all. Create a crisis, manage it. Create a crisis, management. That is a system of government that they've been doing for years. That's why they call it endless wars. If you can always be in a state of war, you can be passing unlimited spending bills. You can be doing, and you never have any controls in place if you're able to have unlimited wars. So we've never really been in a state of true peace, really, since when? Prior to World War I, there was a brief time of peace with the Boer War, I guess would be the war before that. Crimean War, maybe in the 1870s, Civil War in the U.S. I mean, there was different wars that were happening, but not to the scale that we're seeing, like endless war. And maybe that's just the state of the world.
Yeah.
But we've been warned, right? We were warned by presidents. One president probably died because of the warning, and that's JFK. And Ike warning the world on his way out that the military industrial complex, he named them, he called them out, and knowing that the military industrial complex is completely tied to the global order. And that's the problem, is that anytime you start to gain any sense of control over your own individual freedom and liberty at the policy level, the legislative level, by getting your people in, they match it and try to disrupt it. And I think at first they try to criminalize you. If they can't do that, you're too powerful, then the next step, they try to take a shot at you or kill you. and or they use an Epstein Island to get you hooked up onto that, so they destroy you, and you were stupid enough to go to that. But I did state earlier that it's possible that some of those people may have been innocent. They were drugged and thrown in a bed and photographed. That's the part you don't know, because these guys are brutal. Like they're ruthless. These are people who kill people for a living. They kill people. They murder people for a living. That's, you got to understand. They have no soul. They think they're on a mission. They're told to what they do. They're just like robots that are told, you go do this. Okay, yes, I'll go do that. And that's what they do.
I think it's a case of discernment. You have to use discernment. Think for yourself. My philosophy is very simple. Trump's the guy. He's the figurehead. We get him behind Trump. We shoulder in behind him. The most destructive kind of gainsaying and division is anybody that goes against Trump. You shoulder in, you support the president. Your yay is yay and your nay is nay, and you leave it at that. But those, and I've seen, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. Jones saying, "Oh, I'm trying to keep the president." My argument is trust Trump. Trust Trump. Because if you don't trust Trump, you got nothing. What do you got? You just got, well, you got instability by definition. Well, he may be right, he may be wrong. We don't know. Maybe we should go with Kamala.
I think anything you as leaders come and go, but you got to trust a system you put in place. So as long as Trump is enacting a system that he believes in, which is, I believe, the Constitution of 1776, right?
Yeah,
that's his reconstituting America. That's where he's headed. And he has got nothing to lose. When you're a billionaire, I mean, he's the only politician who's lost money becoming a politician. When he isn't really a politician, he's a business guy, comes in, loses money because everybody goes against him in the establishment. And yet all the other politicians you said earlier, they start out with nothing, walk in broke and in debt, leave multimillionaires.
Yeah, the graft effect.
You know, when you actually take a look at who leaves politics richer than they went into it, it's almost always the same crowd. The broke crowd ends up being rich because they got the payola, they got what they came in to do.
Because they're making deals and making, a construction company needs something. Okay, well, if you grease my palm, we'll get you the contract and you can have that. And we know how it works. But
it's widespread, right? We've seen that. I mean, what was that movie with Robert Redford? He goes in as a prison warden, sees that these guys are just being treated horrendously. It was a good movie. But anyways, he goes in as a prisoner in disguise, but he turns out he's a warden just to see how they're being treated. And he discovers all this corruption, like just the contracts and slave labor and all this kind of stuff. And if you envision that's an entire system has become that fallen. Those are the seeds of the fall of Rome. That's how Rome collapsed from within. It's got so decadent, so what would be the word to describe it? The lack of morals, the sense of duty and responsibility to fellow citizen, gone. I mean, they basically died from within because they got so corrupt. Their spirits are corrupt. But yeah, Brubaker, thank you for a great movie. I'm sure some people would say it's a very liberal movie because it's treating prisoners with some kindness, but it was showing more on the corruption of the whole prison system and the government systems around it who profit from those side deals.
Yeah, they just actually had a post go out by one of Pam Bondi's DOJ people. I think it was Colorado prison system. That they're looking at that. There's a lot of corruption going on.
Yeah, they're like this connection between private, prisons where they're making money by driving more prisoners into it, right? You get people doing like 15 years for having a bag of weed, right? Still,
good. Yeah, that can't be good.
But I'm just saying, like, I think that the 1776 movement, to bring it back, MAGA that's all it is. MAGA is just bringing back and enshrining 1776 again and making it simple. So it's got to be bigger than Trump, though. That's critical because that's what's going to carry the life of it. Trump is right now the leader because he's the president, but he is also limited as president because the U.S. system is built in checks and balances, being the House and the Senate. That's why he gets frustrated. There's nothing I can do when a senator is blocking my nominees, right? Like, that's the problem with the system, is that you don't have a system with honorable people that have been elected. And there doesn't seem to be a checks and balances outside of an election to get rid of them. So you're now years fighting these changes. But again, 40, 50 years of this line of thinking that's come in since the 1960s. And now it's entrenched into the entire system. The political class are only emulating what the bureaucratic class is doing. And those big, too big to fail companies that are all connected to it, who control that apparatus. It is a monumental task. As I said, it's trench warfare. That's what we're in. People, I think, were thinking that Trump could come in and work magic overnight. And I think that's the cautious tale you have to say. This is a fight that we need to continue to push forward, trench by trench by trench by trench, and it's going to take years. That's why Trump has to look at who's 2028 president, who's going to be in the Senate, who's going to be like the all omega. You need to get the right people in, because you can't have the Nick Fuentes dividing you. And you may be right on Tucker. I don't know what the heck's happened there. That whole thing in Qatar doesn't make sense to me. I don't. The guy was a mega hero, and now he's what's going on?
Zero to zero, pretty quick.
Well, it just seems strange to me. I mean, what was the point? But he's already rich. I mean, that's the problem. He was rich. He was one of the most well-paid people, and he's worth tens of millions of dollars. Yeah. He has his own network. He doesn't need to. He had MAGA behind him who would fund everything he would do. So, maybe he'll get his shit together, but, but yeah, I mean, there's powerful forces in the world that are trying to influence Trump and going different directions and pulling different directions. But if he stays true to the Constitution, that's all he needs to do. He'll hopefully drag everybody with him. And that's,
well, yeah, I mean, Trump is certainly doing that. And, in amongst some bad stories, we got, the bad news. I always like to end on a positive note. So we got some good news to get into. But before that, this is kind of the thing, the same forces that are operating, they all seem to be the bad guys. And let me make sure I'm getting the right one. Okay, this is my source here. Click. Is Beau Ludden. All right, let's go to Beau. Hang on, get the right clip. Boom, Beau Ludden. There we go. Okay, this is interesting, Blake. This is something we're seeing happen in Canada, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, everywhere. It seems to be part of the playbook of the deep state globalists. Breaking Portland was just hit with a major $10 million federal civil law lawsuit by journalist Nick Sorter after they arrested him after he was assaulted by Antifa. Nick deserves justice.
Portland as well.
Play the clip here, give you a full screen, and just see what Nick's complaining about.
Portland as well. Out there, when I was arrested, because I was a conservative out there trying to cover the ICE riots that the legacy media didn't want to. I mean, these liberal, these big leftist police departments routinely side with the woke, radical, violent left. And, we were able to find out over those past weeks, since I was arrested in Portland, just today, actually, we served them with a $10 million federal civil rights lawsuit. Because this is a pattern and practice of these far left cities ordering their police department to go after people like me, and in Portland's case, leave the leftist protesters alone, give them more runway and latitude. There was literally, we found a case, Laura, where they decided that they weren't going to answer calls for help from these Trump supporters that were in downtown Portland, and that guy ended up being assassinated by an Antifa thug.
I remember that.
All because the Portland police wouldn't respond to them.
Well, I think you're lucky. First of all, you're lucky you're not in Europe, because the EU would have already. You would have been in jail and never come out. As far as I can tell, we're going to get to that story tomorrow. But Nick, what I see here, when I see routinely, is that as we move toward the midterms, there's going to be an attempt to revise history. And this is going to be written off as, oh, you guys are provoking them. It was just the Biden people that got this wrong. Now we need to move on to amnesty. That's what I laid out in the angle. I think you're beginning to see that with that New York Times piece over the weekend, those Biden's team.
All right. So that's kind of the story there. So what do you think, buddy?
Well, again, this is the playbook we see everywhere. Europe, here, everywhere, is that this Antifa group, which we know is not truly Antifa, the real anti-fascists are the people on our side. We're the ones that hate fascism and authoritarianism. We're the fight Marxists. We'll fight fascists. We'll fight anybody who wants to take away anybody's freedom. And that's the difference. But clearly there's an orchestrated funding arm that continues to play into this idea where these people are allowed to commit violence to anybody in the streets and walk away and continue to walk away. We saw that with the 1BC situation up at UVic, where a thug came and basically hit one of the protesters that were, talking about, stole his sign, which apparently was worth like $1,000, right in front of the police. What did the police do? Took him aside, said, "Oh, that's okay." But the guy committed assault, right? So this is the same kind of stuff we see everywhere, where these guys are given leash to go out and be thugs in the street, the brown shirts of the fascists, not anti-fascists, but they're acting like the brown shirts. They used to beat people up in the streets, and they were thugs, like a gang, to make sure to create fear, to make sure that you don't protest against what the establishment wants. And this new establishment is this, what they call woke culture. It's not a culture. It is a programmed system using Marxist theology to control your minds and create fear so you become subservient to it. And Antifa is just a group of thugs in the streets now. That's all they are, as an arm to create fear. They should be labeled a terrorist organization in my books.
Yeah, I think in a lot of art from people on our side of the aisle, we certainly, you get a lot of consensus with that idea, Blake. But it really is interesting how the police forces do tend to protect the bad guys, as it were. And then, anybody, because basically you're going against a state sanctioned messaging. The leftists are actually our state. The West has fallen.
Yeah.
It's all communist. So the leftist cities in America are no different than the leftist country of England or the leftist country of Canada. There's no way anybody can expect any sort of, there's no come now, let us reason together with any of this stuff.
No,
as we saw,
we're not the same.
They don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. You're the Nazi. You're the fascist. We basically want to remove you. We want to imprison you, get rid of you. I guess there's a guy in England. He got sentenced to 6 months for doing racial hatred or something. 6 months in jail for this. Absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Over X tweets, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was over. Well, we don't call them tweets. That's the old.
Oh, X posts. Yeah.
X post. Yeah.
So, and then we have like the two guys in England right now that's causing it up for where they raped that 15-year-old girl. And it's again, the state is acting like, well, they were just, it's
part of their culture.
Part of their culture. So we need to be respectful of that. But this is the psyop that's being done on the West by these powerful forces to cause division. They want this division, and that's what they want. Insanity in the streets. So it's absolutely bizarre that they would allow that to happen, especially goes diametrically opposed to typical left-wing beliefs. Was women had a special status, and violence against women and rape against women is something that the feminists, or at least the neo-feminists, were promoting all the time, but only seems to apply to white men from the West. It doesn't apply to anybody else, especially certain cultures in the world are getting away with it. And the judges are doing that. We're seeing it in Canada too, because they're taking in your ethnicity or your background. If you're Indigenous or whatever it might be, you get to use that as an excuse for your behavior. While everyone else, no, you don't have an excuse. We'll throw the book at. We'll put you in jail for saying something we don't like, but we won't put you in jail for raping a 15-year-old girl. I mean, that's the problem, right? And not only that, you get to stay in a 5-star hotel and, welcome to our land.
And all the outrage that goes with it. I think one of the things that took us all by surprise too is a lot of our conservative governments rolled over and heralded in. I mean, it was George Bush going 1,000 points of light, New World Order, Herbert Walker. So he, and then George Jr. came in and basically reiterated the same thing as your old dad. So at that time, maybe, some of us kind of were clued to it right away. New World Order. A lot of people had their ears perked up as soon as we heard that term. Christian people sure the hell did.
Yeah.
Christian people sure the hell did, because we went, oh, okay, well, we know what that is.
Yeah.
666 is your name. Okay. What have we got next? Okay. So, yeah, just really interesting how the government's, the leftist thing, they're sanctioning it. Here's another one. We're trying to get, where Alberta's trying to get itself out of Canada, basically. I mean, there's a certain percentage of Albertans that want out. Some kind of almost 50-50. God knows what it is, really, Blake. But nonetheless, we got this story. Alert, an Alberta judge has ruled that Alberta, the province of Alberta, cannot have a referendum to get out of Canada, to leave it, because of Indigenous treaties. Canada's so good you can never leave. Unless you're Quebec, and then you have as many referendums as you want. There it is. There's a federal act to clarify this process. It's literally called the Clarity Act. They made it for Quebec. I guess they never thought anyone else would use it. This judge has to dig deep to justify this. This is where the anger starts. And boy, there is a lot of anger. And we'll use one more. I see one good comment here. If Spain, Catalonia is a model, feds won't even let the vote happen because they don't want the results publicized. They beat people down at the polling sites over there. They want to suppress it because it's just a bad look on Canada.
Yeah.
If Alberta actually got the votes, say, we're out, we got the votes in, and we're not getting the hell, we're not staying by. It's been so long. Thanks for all the fish. Go ahead. Your take on Alberta, and are they going to leave? Are they going to be allowed to leave? What are the feds going to do?
Well, I think the feds are terrified because they know they don't have, one, the physical force to prevent it from happening. And it would take physical force to prevent it from happening, because if Albertans vote in a referendum to succeed, there's nothing going to stop them from going. If you try to send in a military, you're going to have a 51st state overnight. It will send in the military from the U.S. to protect the vote. So Canada, just remember, you can throw your liberal judges to make decisions like that to slow the progress. But a lot of U.S. states have agreements with different Indigenous people in different states as well, where they have their own lands. All Alberta will say is, "Yeah, we'll honor the treaties that have been negotiated." That's all they have to say. It's done. It's a done deal. And a matter of fact, you might find that a lot of Indigenous people within Alberta will be like, "Great, so we'll actually have land rights." Yeah, you individually will have land rights. You can own land. You can actually own land and have a business yourself. It doesn't have to go in some of this semi-pseudo-Marxist collectivist system where only the people at the top within those Indigenous tribes are basically taking all the money, and it's not going down to the grassroots people. And I think that's the issue. I think most people in Canada would love to see Canada stick together, but it's an unequal relationship.
I don't think it works anymore. I think the whole thing's broken. I think it's so broken it can't be fixed. It's Humpty Dumpty. All the Kingsmen couldn't put Humpty together again.
I got some Ontario guy yelling at me today on Twitter about it, and I just like, you know what, give it up. It was a question that was put out. It's like, if Alberta was to declare its independence, what's the first law that they should pass? And I spoke up and I said, the first law they pass is slap a tariff on all of Canada for any goods traveling through Alberta from east to west. And that would shut down essentially the trains and all that. And I said, tied to a pipeline that gets to go through BC. That's how you get what you want. You put physical force like that, financial force, and you tell them, if you're not going to play ball, well, we're not going to play ball. We'll lock you out. And this guy's all mad. He's from Ontario. I'm like laughing. I'm like, okay, Ontario boy. He's like, yeah, you don't even know your own geography. There's still Yukon and Northwest Territories. I'm like, really? You're going to run a train all the way from Vancouver to the Yukon over Northwest Territories through horrible mountains and weather. And that's if northern BC and northeastern BC decided to stay in British Columbia, because those regions made us say, yeah, we're out too, because we're not going to have EB and the nutcase Marxists in Victoria running us. We'd rather go with Alberta.
Yeah, it really is.
And then you're going to have Alaska to the other side, America on the other side. You're surrounded by free thinkers all around you, and all of a sudden you got this Marxist EB. Yeah, it would bring BC to its knees. But I think Alberta, I don't think they can stop it. I think the angers in Alberta has been fermenting for 50, 60 years, since the era of the blue-eyed Arab, right? Lougheed. He was kind of like the first when the East didn't like the idea of Alberta getting rich on its own. They brought in the Energy Act, and that basically under Trudeau Sr. started to siphon money out of Alberta in the billions and giving it to Quebec and Ontario and the Bay Street Boys. And we should have always maintained our north-south trading relationship, but the East didn't like that. That's the problem why Canada doesn't work. We should be north-south, not east-west. Yeah. That's the traditional and natural trading way of people go along the Pacific coast and up and down, not east-west. So I think it's only a matter of time. Canada's a little country, big land-wise, little country. Population-wise, all its people are huddled around a handful of cities along the border anyways. It's only a matter of time. The only chance Canada has to exist is either join the United States as a protected territory, or mimic the United States 100%. It means you got to change all your laws, dump the crown, switch to a constitutional republic with all the equal ability to be your own king of your own castle, property rights, individual rights and freedoms. That's the difference, not this collectivist approach that Canada does, this corporate approach where the corporation is Canada.
Well, yeah, and as you've identified on this program so often before,
and I think Albertans want that. Albertans want to be free. They're done being the slave that Canada siphons off of all the time. So
yeah, and British Columbia too, for that matter.
Yeah, and they stuck their Manchurian candidate from Ontario in as our provincial leader. So yeah, there's WF hands all over what's going on in BC.
Yeah, and the voting system is really questionable the way it's working, where you get minority governments being propped up by willing sycophants, whether it's the NDP helping out the Liberals or whether it's the Greens helping out the NDP, whatever the leftist alliance is. So yeah. Canada is pretty much assured that we'll never see another right-leaning government in this country ever again. The one hope we have in human sense outside of the Lord Jesus Christ is the United States of America. It's the last bastion of hope.
100%.
London has fallen. England has fallen. The United Kingdom has fallen. Australia has fallen. The Commonwealth has fallen. Europe has fallen. Trump just put out from the White House of State Department saying that Europe is nearing an extinction event for itself.
Yeah.
An extinction event. The language it used was unbridled. And of course, going after Elon Musk, and Trump is aware of it now. Now he's up on, they're going after Elon. Trump's not happy. So there's going to be further fragmenting there. We're seeing a fundamental restructuring of the world order.
Yep.
Where, who's going to dance with who?
I can tell you what's going to happen.
Go.
If Europe completely falls, the last bastion for safety for the free-thinking West will be America, which means you'll see mass migration from Europe into the United States. And I can guarantee if they start becoming that dark fascist world again, like they did in the 1930s, which is the direction the EU is headed.
Canada
is the Canadian government is the form of government the EU wants to use. and it's highly corporatized and controlled in that way. It is a fascist government by definition. Maybe not by acts yet, but they are putting acts in place that will turn to throw people in jail, strip them of their ability to buy, sell, or trade, take away debanking them, removing their ability to have internet or communication.
Imprisoning them.
And that's Bill C9. But it's funny, the EU and Canada are working in concert on that side of it, which I kind of laughed that the EU is trying to talk tough about dumping all of their treasury notes to something trillion. The UK and Europe would work together to dump all those U.S. treasuries out on the market to cause the U.S. market to go into havoc. I posted to that. I put a picture. Do you ever move Tombstone? Where they're about to have the gunfight, and I'm talking about the movie Tombstone with Val Kilmer playing
Huckleberry.
Huckleberry, but the wink, right, just before they go into a gunfight, and it's just like, there's the Americans already want to come to a gunfight, because he winks to get them to shoot, right? That's what, and then they end up getting massacred and losing that gunfight, right? So yeah, they want their OK Corral and be the outlaws in that. The EU is going to lose bad, because what really are you going to live off Norway oil? Because all you got left is shipments from Russia for natural gas. You've got Canada and the United States. Well, Canada, I think, is going to be part of the United States in some shape or form.
So, man, I sure hope.
It has no choice. I think they're hoping midterms is going to be the big change, because if the midterms stay MAGA, that's it. It's over. It's finished. If the midterms go anti-MAGA, we're going to be in a shitstorm in Canada. Unfortunately, we may have to be leaving as refugees, literally, out of our country. It's going to go full draconian, like we've never seen before.
Yeah, they'll lay the clamp down.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, we've hit that Vonda 102 mark in the afternoon. I want to thank everybody, especially Blake, for being here with us. Merry Christmas, everybody. We're going to be back on Friday for more ho-hos and hee-haws. Kind of a little bit of a, kind of looking at things and looking within our side of things, seeing how everybody's getting along. And that link Sue put out is very important. Watch and subscribe to Promethean Report. In my opinion, it's the very best information source for people on our side of the aisle right now. No hyperbole, very sober, cold analysis, delivered by a couple of beautiful grannies that, you figured be cooking muffins or something for you. But it's must-watch viewing. It's my new favorite kind of right-wing thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I love our president, and he is our president, and he's doing the fight. Everybody shoulder in behind him. Pray for Donald John Trump. Pray for America. God bless America, and God bless all of you. We will be back on Friday. Like the show, thumbs up, and